What's up, guys? Eric here with driverlineup.com, world's located steering wheel holder, and you guys know quadrupled is, I don't think is a word, but for some reason I call her a quadrupled. I don't think it's a word. She's not thrilled because she's about to be sent inside to get a bath because we're about to hit the road. We are dispatched. We're on a load that's not here in Springfield yet. It is a great load. Great load. It paid to say no to the load last night. Because of the load last night, they offered last night, which would be Saturday evening, paid like $1.30, $1.35, something to go to Denver and then Salt Lake City. This one pays almost $3 a mile and goes to North Carolina. So it's a meat load. It's not here yet. And because of the time that it has on it, we don't have to leave until like 2 in the morning tonight. But it will get in before the payroll cutoff, which will extremely minimize my being in the hole this week, which is a good thing. So, but I wanted to do a part 2, and there will be a part 3 and 4. Jenna has some things to say too. But you guys who are coming in, guys and gals that are coming in as students to Prime Inc. or in the trucking industry in general, you didn't think you'd go unscathed in these rants, did you? Surely not. Now, I knew I was going to do one for students too, and I know that that video I did yesterday has been watched almost 1,000 times. My rant on trainers, and there were a few trainers that took issue with it. That's fine. I think some of you kind of missed the point. I know there's shitty students. I know that for a fact. A lot. That's why, in fact, I think there's probably more. Some of you students are going to take offense to this, and that's fine too. If it's not relevant to you, then don't take offense to it. There's more difficult and bad students than there are difficult and bad trainers. That is fact. So, I'm getting text messages from trainers yesterday and last night going, you're persuading people from coming to Prime, and you're just blaming trainers and not. There's two sides to that story. Yeah, of course there is. Of course there's two sides of the story. I was telling that side of the story. Students, you have to really. I hear the horror stories too from trainers, you guys. Horror stories, and they're backed up. Now, I also want to say that yesterday when I was talking about trainers, someone said, "Oh, well, you're just hearing a student story." No, there's evidence of it, guys. There's evidence, like physical, real evidence, picture evidence, video evidence. I'm not just going to go rant on situations that I'm aware of with trainers without actually knowing. If someone just comes and tells me something, there's evidence. There's also lots of evidence on students. And if you're coming to Prime, or if you're coming to a carrier that does training, there's some things that you need to understand, and you need to check yourself at the door too. You're about to invade someone's life, okay? You want a trainer who's going to respect you, who's going to teach you, who's going to help you become a professional driver, help you learn the business. You want those things, right? Well, on the other side of it, there's trainers that are scared to death of some of you guys because they want a student who's going to respect them, who's going to respect their knowledge, and who's going to respect their truck. And they don't always get that. And there's a lot of times they don't get that. And I'll be totally honest with you guys. One of the big reasons that Jenna and I haven't changed our current team situation and gone into training, which I am a certified trainer with Prime, but she's the only student that I've trained. She trifected, she didn't have any accidents. She had a great training experience. We got her trained up. She's a great driver. But I've gone through a training course, but I haven't trained anyone other than her. But part of the reason that I've been hesitant on this is because there's just a lot of situations that would be terrible. Would be terrible. There's some things you need to think about. You need to come into it, and I think most students come into it with the right attitude, or at least try to. But like I said, I think there's more students that are a problem than there are trainers that are a problem. And trainers are scared. They're scared of maybe scared's not the right word. There's a lot of dread out there. I know a lot of really good trainers. I hope I didn't give the impression yesterday that this is like an epidemic, of bad trainers with Prime. That's not the case at all. I can tell you right now, I know probably 20 to 25 trainers probably that I would recommend students to every chance I can get, because they are just excellent trainers, the best in the industry, that in my view. Million Mile Man would be probably at the very top of my list. You got Ross Johnson. I think Lyle from No Hippie Trucking and Transportation is going in. Craig. The list goes on of just excellent trainers. And I can tell you that one of the things that I hear often is that there's kind of some hesitance, because you don't know what kind of student you're going to get. You don't know if you're going to get a student who just it has really terrible hygiene, or a student who goes and watches a bunch of YouTube videos and they come into it thinking they've got all the answers. They know everything. I see this at Campus Inn all the time, you guys. Now, I don't smoke. I vape. Sometimes, like yesterday, Jenna took Sean, one of our friends who's upgrading to Best Buy and Walmart. While she went and ran those errands, I stayed at Campus Inn. There were multiple occasions where someone who had been with Prime for a week or 2 weeks literally hadn't even gotten their CDL, or had just gotten their CDL, out there trying to teach and tell new students coming in for orientation things. Are you kidding me? You don't know shit. All right? You don't know shit. I don't care how many YouTube videos you've watched. Unless you have prior experience in truck driving, especially over the road, you don't know shit, okay? So don't go to a trainer and be like, oh yeah, I watched Eric on YouTube, or I watched Johnson's Logic. I already know all this stuff. I know how to deal with the tandems. I already know. Man, you don't know nothing, okay? Seeing me say something on a YouTube video it's not practice, okay? You might have heard me say it. It's not practice. Until you've gotten into the practice of doing it, you don't know anything. So you don't want to go to a trainer and be like, well, I already know how to do this, and I saw this video. You want to start from scratch, okay? A good trainer is going to have a good program, and they want to teach you from the very scratch, from the very beginning. They've got their ways. And if they've been training many students, 5 or more students, then they've got a track record of, they know what works for them and what doesn't. They know where they've maybe made some poor decisions in training, and where they've made their best decisions in training, and they're modifying their program, guys. They're getting better and better with every student. They don't need you to come up to them and when you first meet, or you get in their truck, you're in there for a few days, telling them you know what you're doing. You don't know what you're doing. So if you're in the process of coming to Prime, or going into a CDL school, don't go in there arrogant, like you know what you're doing. That is one of the things that will, if I was a trainer, I'm sorry, I would not. I mean, if I was actively training, I would not be thrilled with a student getting in my truck and starting to tell me all the things that they understand and know how to do. I want a student who's going to come in there and say, I want a student who is like me. When I came into training, I got on my trainer's truck, I said, I know nothing. I'm not going to pretend I know anything. I don't even know how you can possibly make a right-hand turn with a truck like this. I have no idea about anything. I don't know about anything. And I told him that from the very beginning. I was like, I'm a fast learner. show me something, like, you know, spend some time when you're explaining something to me, help me learn it, and you won't have to show me twice. But I don't know anything. I know nothing. And I let him start from scratch with me, you know? And that's what you should do. Even if you really do know a couple things, don't go in there being a know-it-all. And there's so many students who come into the program thinking that they know something because they've seen it on YouTube, or because they, you know, their dad drove a truck or something like that. Look, you're about to drive an 80,000 pound vehicle as a professional driver, meaning that you're responsible for everything out there. You get into a tussle with a four-wheeler, they're gonna blame you legally. You know, it's all on the, you are about to be a professional commercial motor vehicle driver. That is a significant and very serious responsibility, and you need to take it seriously. Go into the training program as a blank page, as a wide open book ready to be written, and be respectful to that trainer and say, I don't know what I'm doing, and I'm not going to pretend I know what I'm doing. And even if you know a few things, let that trainer teach you that trainer's way, because that's something that really gets under their skin. I promise you. I hear this all the time. Second thing is hygiene, you guys. And I know it's tough out there on the road. I'm going to be honest with you. Should I say it? I'm in a constant battle to keep myself always clean and always smelling good. I'll get into some personal stuff with you guys here for just a second. And I know other drivers do this too. I know it for a fact, because this actually has been a conversation that occurred in the last week. I will literally carry wipes with me into the bathroom. Or if I don't do that, I'll use a shower credit to go take what I call a half shower. So I use a shower credit because we have free showers at Love's. I use shower credit, go use the restroom, have my own restroom at Love's, and then I'll do a half shower, which is basically wash myself from waist down. Because it is absolutely critical out here when you can't shower every single day to keep yourself clean and smelling good. Even if you're by yourself, have some respect. If you're a solo driver, have some respect, man. We got customers to represent. Don't get your seats all sneaky in your truck. When you get into a trainer's truck, don't make that trainer smell your ass. Don't do it. Do what you have to do. Take the extra steps that you have to take. When I was in training, and I'm generally not a smelly guy, I'm very fortunate on that front. That said, summer's coming, and there's just certain instances that, you know, you get into two days without a shower and you're out there sweating at meat plants and stuff. There's certain things that you just, you know, it's a battle. But when I was in training, I carried extra socks and underwear. Because I might not have been able to change my jeans or my t-shirt all the time, and I probably didn't need to anyway, you know. But if my socks or my underwear ever got to the point where they needed to be, I got changed them. I carried extra sets of that. If I could keep myself clean in the socks and underwear department, then the rest of my clothes stayed clean. And I never, ever, ever stunk for my trainers, both my PSD or my TNT. Never, ever. And if I did, I rectified that. If I got up against that line, I rectified that situation right away. You need to do that. You need to do that. Don't go into that trainer's home, which is their truck. It's their home and their office. It's the place where they live. It's their place of business. You are a guest in that environment, and have some respect for that trainer and take care of yourself. Keep yourself clean. Keep yourself smelling good, and that will go a long way. The third thing is, don't be lazy. Don't be lazy. And I know when you get out on your own, as Lyle from No Hippie Trucking and Transportation always says, this isn't hard work. That's true. It's not hard physically. Sometimes it can be for very short bursts of time. It's hard mentally. But when you get out on your own, that's the time where if you don't want to do shit for 10 hours, don't do anything for 10 hours. But when you're in training, you need to be proactive. You need to study the shit out of your pre-trip if you got your pre-trip. Don't wait on your trainer to have to go out there and waddle and follow you around the trailer all day long. Get out of the truck and go study that truck. Watch pre-trip videos on YouTube. Look at your paperwork. Walk your ass around that truck. Get under the hood. Get it back there in the coupling. And then you can go to your trainer and say, hey, can you mind doing a quick walk with me? I think I've got this part down. And, you know, things like that. Like, don't just always be waiting. If your trainer gets out and starts cranking the landing gear during PSD, you know, to drop and hook a trailer, they don't expect you to do all that work. They shouldn't, because you shouldn't be doing all that work during PSD. But get out and watch. Get out and offer to help. Don't just sit in that front passenger seat and be lazy. That's a turnoff to trainers. Because you're basically telling a trainer that you're not going to have initiative when it gets to the TNT phase. You don't want to give that impression to a trainer. You want a trainer to know that you're going to be of value to them and you're worth the sacrifice. Now, I know some of you are saying, oh, a trainer's all about the money. And it's okay, the money is better. Yes, I'll give you that. But honestly, guys, what some students make trainers go through, the money is not worth it. Don't be that student, you know? Don't be lazy. Now, my trainer, he made me do the vast majority of the work in TNT. He drove only at nights. I know a lot of you have trainers who make you drive at night. If I train up, my student will be very happy because I drive at nights. I'm not going to have my student drive at night. That's my time. That's my time to drive. But my trainer was that way too. He only drove at night. So he did 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. and I did 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. And whatever fell in that 12-hour period is what you were responsible for. Now, sometimes because of the load or the clock, we had to overlap by an hour or two, or start early by an hour or two sometimes. But usually that worked out for us. But he always would set things up to where I had to do more of the work. You know, part of it is that he'd been driving for 7 years, and, you know, maybe he just didn't want to do it. He saw that he had somebody to do some of it for him. But the other part of it is that that's truly the best way to learn. I hated it. I hated it sometimes. A lot of times I loved it because I was learning. Sometimes I really hated it and it pissed me off that I had to do so much of the work during TNT. But afterwards, oh my God, you guys, I was so happy that I did all that work because it answered questions for me before I needed to ask them when I was out on my own. It made me realize that I knew what the hell I was doing, because I also know situations where there's trainers who do most of the work and don't have their students do most of the work, or don't force them to do most of the work, and then their students go and upgrade and they don't know shit. They don't even know how to write a comm check. They don't know how to, you know, do logs. They don't know. So you want to have to work your ass off and bust your ass during training. Don't be lazy. That's how you become a professional driver. That's how you gain respect from your trainer. That's how you let your trainer know that you're serious. So all that to say, you know, and I think there's probably some final things. I mean, just be a good person, you know, pick up trash, clean up after yourself. Just be a good person. But all that to say, you know, yesterday I did my rant on trainers, which I believe is well-founded and I stand by it. But on the flip side of things, there are a lot of students, and again, it's not just Prime, who are completely disrespectful and are terrible students. Don't be a terrible student. If you come in with Prime, be a great student. I think if we all just work on this, trainers and students, you know, things will get hopefully improve a little bit better. I mean, there's just always going to be bad situations, and that's unfortunate. But I would just say both to trainers. If you're about to become a trainer, or you want to become a trainer in the future, if you're a student, you're about to become a student, don't be the asshole, okay? Just be a good human. Be respectful. And it just makes everything better, so. Yes, my rant is two-sided. It's a two-sided story. And just also again, it's really important for me to make sure that you guys know there are so many good trainers at Prime. I said it in my video yesterday that I think Prime is in a much better position than most companies, I believe. It cannot be perfect, but I saw some comments of, and I got a few text messages of, hey, you know, this is making us look bad. You shouldn't say things like that. Well, I'm going to be honest on my YouTube channel always, but it's better at Prime. You hear horror stories out there, yeah, but there's hundreds of students going through the program at all times. So it's not like that's a majority of the cases, you know. But it is true that you may end up with a trainer who is not a great trainer. And as a trainer, it's true that you may end up with a student who's not a great student. And I hope that any of those that might be a bad trainer or a bad student could see some of what I'm saying here and just give it some thought and just try and be a better person, please. Because it affects everyone around you and their lives and their futures. And you should always have that in mind. So anyway, guys, there's the other side of it. I think Jenna has a lot to say too, so there'll probably be a part 3 and part 4. But all right, we're gonna finish up some errands since we have the rest of the day and don't have to leave with this load until tonight. And then we'll be on the road. We'll definitely be on the road tomorrow because this trailer will be here today. So guys, be safe, make good decisions, and as always, drive to thrive. Talk to you soon.